And then I'm going to share my screen. Can you all see my slides?
Yep.
Okay, so what we want to do is today we're specifically going to talk about Facebook ads. So what I want to do is have two different segments. The first part of the segment is going to talk about some background story. Basically, we're going to talk strategy. And so then the second part of it is going to talk application. So we're actually going to go through utilizing the strategies. We're going to actually implement it. So before I get started, I want to jump into this slide, which is the topics that we're going to cover, which are marketing strategies and the fundamentals as it relates to Facebook campaigns. Before I continue, I want to hear from you. So those of you that are still with me, thank you. What is it that you're hoping to get out of today? So if you can go quickly and tell me what you hope to get out of our Facebook conversation today in terms of running campaigns within Command. Tony, I see you're starting, or maybe.
Sure. I'm not sure if it's going to be covered in today, but just looking to see if you have examples of converting ads, verbiage, what it was, what the structure was. I've had a really good success with getting leads. I think I have like 120 leads through my Command ads. However, the Smart Plans is just not producing any follow-up calls with it. So I think I'm looking for what you have seen work to get the response back from them once you get a lead. So that's for me.
Okay. And I'll address that really quickly. What I did is I have taught this class before. And what I did, Tony, to go back to your specific point, is I did some research and I actually found an agent that is within Keller Williams, and they have been utilizing Facebook ad campaigns since December of last year, and they are killing it. So what I did is I went back through the class that I taught, and I was pretty much on point, but there were a few nuances that I added based on what they said. So specifically today, I'm going to give you their strategy. So I'm going to walk you through that. Great. Who else?
I have a question. This is Catherine.
Hi, Catherine.
So not sure if this is related to today's topic, but I would love clarity about your advice for personal Facebook page versus a professional page.
Okay. So really quickly, I can answer that. It really depends on what you want to do and how you're branding yourself. Agents are unique, as all of you know. You're specifically branding yourself. And so my personal recommendation is always going to be make sure that you have a business page. And the reason is because on the business page, you have a different algorithm associated to your Facebook. And so when you're marketing, you want to be able to clearly have that line of demarcation between what you're posting as a personal person with unique, belief systems, value systems versus your public facing business page. And so I'm going to always encourage you. And I think many of our we call them MCTs, Market Center Tech Trainers, are always going to encourage you to have a business Facebook page and let that be your guide. You can still sprinkle, anecdote, your personality, that kind of thing, but it's very helpful strategically to have a business Facebook page. Also, to couple that within Command, you can only attach your business page as it relates to being able to post in Command and run Facebook ads. So you have to have that business page from a Command standpoint. Does that answer your question on a personal level?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Who else? There's a few of you on the call. What else do you want to know? Brandon, Aisha.
I've got a few questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so today, I'm the fundamental interest is how to increase the leads. And of course, as Tony said, make sure you have a reasonable conversion rate, because with unlimited leads, it doesn't matter if you can't convert.
Right.
But also, I'm curious if there's any sort of systematic approach toward marketing. Is it everybody kind of, you do your own thing, or are there certain hot buttons that buyers are out there that you could tap into? You know, I know from a seller perspective, you know, value propositions, those kinds of things. But I'm just thinking, with everybody doing this in Hawaii, are there trends that are developing that make sense and easy to adapt? And then the other part too I'm interested in is, you know, Rochelle and I are a team, and we have the Homes and Chocolate Facebook ads, Facebook page. I have not set up this is trying to distinguish personal business page under my name. And are there advantages to having a team name, but a separate individual business page? Or does it muddy the waters too much, or does one feed the other? I'm just trying to figure out, again, how to get the biggest presence that makes the most sense.
So in my personal opinion, I think there would be a huge advantage for you having a Homes and Chocolate page, business page, and then each of you having a business page that links back to that. And the number one reason why I say that is clearly algorithm. It's SEO, it's getting it out there. So the more that you can have that algorithm feed into Homes and Chocolate, your SEO ranking is going to go through the roof. So if you can look at it this way, you've got 3 different channels that are funnily all boosting up Homes and Chocolate.
That's what I want.
Yes. The other thing, systematic, that's exactly what I'm going to do, is talk about a system that I taught before, and I am thankful to God that I actually was right on point. These agents that I actually tweaked a couple of things, they had very similar, there's a few nuances, but what I'm going to teach today is a system.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Brandon.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Brandon, what are you hoping to get out of today?
I'm hoping for just some fundamentals, some basics.
Okay.
I shared on our team meeting. I have a page. I have a few things on it, and I have done everything except promote my page yet. And I just got my license number, so I'm sort of, you know, and taking some thoughts that was shared. That, you know, there's no harm in sort of getting the word out there already. So just definitely looking for some fundamentals. Content is a big thing. What is good content? What is that delineation, between my personal Facebook page and this one, or how does the two sort of talk to each other to boost followers or views and potential leads? So definitely interested in those things today.
Okay. Anyone else before we get going that wants to say what they're hoping to get? Brendan, do you want to have anything, JJ? Any specifics?
Nothing any more specific. This is Brendan. Nothing any more specific than what's been said. I'm a fresh new agent, clean slate. So systems, processes, best practices is definitely what I'm here for. So I can start off on the right foot and put myself in the right direction.
Awesome. Okay, so let's get into it. So the strategy. So a couple of things I want to talk about. I'm going to move this a little bit so I can see the whole thing. Okay, so marketing strategies. Number one, you have to, for many of you, I know you're doing this already, but you have to look at it like this. Before you do your first ad or before you do your next ad, make sure that you have that mental mind shift. And one of the things, if any of you were on the region call, the all region call yesterday, this is crucial. Before you do your next campaign, ask yourself, take a step back and say, what do I need to start doing as it relates to Facebook campaigns or any type of social media posting? What do I need to stop doing? And what do I need to continue doing? So as we go through this presentation, especially when we flip over to the practical side of it, keep this in the back of your mind. Mentally, what do I need to start? What do I need to stop? And what do I need to continue doing? The number one thing that I see when I look at your agents, and believe me, I stalk you. I stalk all of you on Instagram. I stalk you on Facebook, and not in a creepy stalking way, but making sure that I'm doing what I need to do as it relates to how can I help you? So when I'm teaching classes and when I'm doing things, am I relevant? Am I on point? Am I giving you what you need? The biggest thing that I see the opportunity for is storytelling. It's one of the number one things and when I say we, the Market Center, we don't do a good job of storytelling, but we are working on it. You need to make sure that you are telling the story. The story is, I am your resource. The story is putting yourself in the client's shoes. What do they need to focus on? So making sure that you are effectively telling your story. Another marketing tip is this: engage by permission, meaning that make sure that you are constantly asking for their permission. And the one thing that I'll say, when you post, make sure that whether it's a campaign that you're running or a free, just general post, have a level of engagement. Don't stop at the period. Ask questions, be interactive. So that's the other marketing basic strategy tip. The one thing I'll say is contextual. This is huge. How many of you, show of hands, are doing Facebook and Instagram or more than one social media platform? Okay. How many of you vary the content or the way you deliver on Facebook and or Instagram? You need to do it. It is crucial. Understand this. You have to understand the analytics of who's following you on Facebook, the analytics of who's following you on Instagram, the analytics on LinkedIn, on Twitter. If you need help with that, I'm more than happy to help you, but you have to understand your numbers, because the audience that watches you on Facebook is not going to be the same audience that follows you on Instagram. So you can't have that same message that goes across. You can't have all of your social media cannot say the same thing. You have to vary it up. You have to understand the context in which you're recording. So that means posting content that's appropriate for the social media platform that you're on. I'm going to stop there because that is huge. Are there any questions, things that I need to clarify? Because that is a game changer. I know it's a bigger time commitment, but I can tell you, if you start doing this now and you're consistent, it is going to pay off in the long run. Comments or questions about that? It's huge. Rochelle, do you want to touch on, I know you raised your hand, I didn't see anyone else because I don't have a whole view of everyone, but do you want to say anything specifically about why you do that and what you've seen in terms of your response from that?
I know that, well, for Homes and Chocolate, the platform that I'm posting on with Instagram, I have a personal and I have the Homes and Chocolate. And the people that are on Instagram, yeah, you're right. They're very different. They interact differently, and my stories are engaged more on Instagram than it is on Facebook. And so on Facebook, that's kind of, I haven't been doing too much. Kelly has been very, very consistent with his weekly things, but that's where I always put the Keller Williams stuff on there. Instagram has been, the chocolate side of it or the fun side of it. And that's where I'm getting the engagement from the followers. Yeah.
Right. And just for those people, a quick tip that I'll give Facebook in general in terms of the back end, in terms of who's using Facebook. Typically you have your Gen X generations, more mature agents or followers that are on Facebook. You have your millennials that are going to be on Instagram. So it really depends on who you're trying to market to. The other thing is show the customer that you care. Again, these are all strategies that I picked up and tweaked for a top seller within our region, or excuse me, not within our region, but within Keller Williams. And so they focused in on these marketing strategies to retool their campaign. And so then this is not a marathon. This is a sprint. It's not spring, it's a sprint. Sorry for the typo. But they started their campaign aggressively in December. And so you have to understand this. This is not, this is going to be a marathon. You have to be in it for the long haul. And so they have seen huge returns on their leads because they've been doing this month after month after month after month. And so it is the long game for you. So make sure that is really clear. Fundamentals for those of you that mentioned it. I would encourage you to have a Facebook page. This specific group had a business Facebook page. The other thing that I would encourage you is cover page, call to action. And I can show you examples of that, but the cover page is huge. This particular group, it was a husband and wife team. They did exactly what I do for my business, is they maximize their cover page. So they changed their cover page with a specific call to action at least once a quarter. Make sure that that is the most underutilized thing on a Facebook page, is the cover page. You can have videos on that. What I mean by call to action is I see a lot of our agents that have a business cover page and it's just an image. The image doesn't do anything for me or for your potential client. You've got to have, call me, I'm your real estate agent. It doesn't have to be a big call to action, just call me, my number. Making sure that you do not miss the opportunity to have a call to action, a simple, clear, concise message on your cover page. The other thing that I've noticed, and this team did it well, before you run your campaign, be very systematic, strategic. Have a teaser post, a free teaser post that goes out to launch your campaign. Then you want to follow up with the campaign, and then you want to sprinkle more posts. So as a precursor, have something in the middle, have something in the end. I see a lot of our agents that will just run a campaign and do nothing else on their social media. You have to have a precursor, a middle, and an end in terms of making sure that you follow that campaign throughout the life of it. So if you're running a campaign for 30 days, the day before day one, you're doing a general post, priming that pump, if you will, about what you're going to do. 15 days into it, do another follow-up free post as you are running your paid ad. This is just bare minimum. They did it more on a consistent basis, but I think they did it every 5 days. So you can do it whatever works for you, but at the bare minimum, the beginning of your post or the precursor, middle, and end. The other thing is having a specific plan. A plan in place goes a long way. So once they click on your campaign, what are you redirecting them to? And we're going to talk about what they redirected their leads through, and then have a follow-up and a timeline. How are you going to do that? So those are the fundamentals in terms of a Facebook ad, making sure that you go back to that business page. The other thing that I want to give you a tip on, which I mentioned in previous classes, is this: bios are huge. If you have not taken a look at your bio on all social media platforms, when is the last time you updated your bio? Asking. When's the last time you updated your bio? On all social media platforms.
Right. 4 months ago, 5 months ago, 6, somewhere
You
in there.
want to make sure you're tweaking that as often as possible. This particular group, and I actually do the same thing for me whenever I am doing a big announcement. So for example, for them, they had a luxury property that they wanted to advertise. And so what they did is they went through all of their social media bios and made sure that that bio reflected that major listing. So make sure that you utilize, that's also another thing, especially on Facebook and Instagram. That is a huge opportunity for you to make sure that that bio links back to whatever that specific campaign is. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Anyone else? When's the last time you updated your bio?
Natasha, this is really a good point. This is Aisha. How would you phrase that? Just give us an example. Like we landed a good listing and we want to add that into the bio. What would the words look like? Just one sentence.
So this is what I would recommend, and this is exactly what they said. Figure out what is the seller in terms of looking at that property. Is it, magical views? Is it land? Is it whatever? If, you know, for this specific person, because they were landlocked, they had a gourmet chef kitchen. So that's what they touted in their bio. So then they, and I can't remember the exact verbiage, but it was something like, increase your game or something. It was a 3-word phrase, but essentially it referred back to the gourmet chef kitchen. So take a look at that listing, whatever that is, or, you know, even if it's not a listing, but let me stick with listing, and I want to say something else. So keeping it first focus on listing. If you have a listing that has a unique asset or a unique selling point, utilize that in your bio. So for those, does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's interesting because who would ever think of putting that in a bio? That's genius. Okay, thank you so much. I'm going to do that.
You're welcome. The second thing is this: if you don't have a listing, partner with a fellow KW agent that does have a listing. If that's not a possibility, then what you do is focus on a neighborhood or an area that you want to farm yourself. What is the unique added value for that neighborhood? Promote that. Okay. Another thing I want to, actually, I'm not going to get ahead of myself, but I'm going to come back to that in just a minute. So I'm going to stop talking for a minute. Any other comments or questions about those? So again, this is all the system. Oh, Tony, did you have something?
I was just going to say, it benefits you and the other agent by allowing them to promote the listing. I just had an agent in Kona that sent out the email for listings. I gave him the Beach Road listing. Shoot, you know, the more people that want to promote your listing, the better exposure you're going to get for it, and the faster chance you have of selling it. So I highly encourage to let people, do that. It's going to hits different algorithms the way you set it up. So I'm running ads for Beach. It's going to hit a different group of people that he's going to hit on his ad set. So I think it's a great idea. And if anybody wants to run ads on Beach Road, we just dropped the price. I mean, I'm more than happy to. Run them. Run them. Let's get this thing sold.
Great additional comment and feedback in terms of testimony to what was just said. The other thing that I would say that this particular team did is they also, going back to Tony's point and what we mentioned earlier, was power partners. What I mean by power partner is, cleaning, people that clean the house, people that do the gutters, people that, that you're working with for insurance, hello stagers. So the people that so for Dean Auto, let me go back to a project that I worked on with Dean Auto, and then another agent with Hawaii Life on a luxury property. I think it's listed for 15, 16 million, something like that. So I actually did the staging on that home. And the key thing that I did for both Dean and the co-lister was I started pushing that out on my Instagram, on my Facebook. So all of my socials, I was able to push that out to another group or segment of people that they don't have access to. So that was huge for them because they were now getting, potential leads and follow up because I was tagging them. But that's another thing. Make sure you're tagging those power partners. So when you're doing those listings, in terms of if you don't have a listing, but you're working with Tony or you're working with Rochelle or whoever you're working with, make sure you tag them. So then that way, it also not only boosts your algorithm on the back end, but theirs as well. And then that person that may be interested in that home that is within your circle of influence reaches out to that agent. So that's a huge thing you want to consider. So next, best practices. Again, this is going back to that power team that did this well. They made sure that they had 3 different options for smart plans with triggers. How many of you have started using triggers in Command? Anybody using triggers?
What do you mean by triggers?
Triggers, okay. So within smart plans, so when KWRI first rolled out Command And then in a couple of months, they had rolled out smart plans. One of the common questions from agents was, hey, I want to be able to set up a smart plan. And is there a way to automate this, meaning that I don't have to go back and press start to run this smart plan? The answer now is yes. So when let's follow let's follow the train in terms of start to finish. When you add a contact, then you want to add a tag. Once you add a tag, then you would create a smart plan, whatever that smart plan is. Let's keep this example in terms of a smart plan for a listing. So you have a listing that's going to go out that you're going to run this campaign ad for. You know that listing is, 423 Hope Drive. So then what you would do is you would create that smart plan. Then you would go back and create a tag 423 Hope Drive or whatever it is. And then what happens is once people start following up with you or you get that lead, then what you can do is go in and tag them. And so then it'll start automatically, whatever that smart plan is, it's going to automatically trigger to them. This is what I need to do. Or one of the key things that they did is they had a smart plan that introduced themselves and their resources. So what you can do is create that smart plan. Then they had about 2 or 3 different smart plans associated with every listing that they did. One was just a general welcome. Another one was helpful tips and resources. And then the other one was the actual listing. So they had 3 different ones. And so they were able to tag based on that. And so once you associate that tag, you go into the smart plan, set the trigger, and you don't have to ever go back into smart plans and do anything else. So if I did a class, check it out on YouTube. I believe it was the Facebook. It was the Instagram class that I did, part 1. And it was also Command Designs where I did an intro into triggers. So triggers is huge, and that's what they utilized. The other thing is landing pages. I know some of you will just rely on the Facebook lead form. However, keep in mind this, in order to maximize your potential leads, you need to get in the habit of doing a separate landing page for that campaign. And the reason is, and I do it, and I know you guys do it. You may see something on Facebook, Instagram, or whatever, and it may be just a general contact lead. You don't want them to have your email. So you're just going to come up with a fake email just to get the information to see if that's something that you want to pursue. What you want to make sure is that you are validating and vetting, if you will, that lead. So making sure that you have a landing page, and not just have the landing page, have another contact form on that landing page so you can vet that lead. So it is something that you can follow up with someone, because once they go to your landing page, they're typically going to be very serious about that moving forward. And have another capture form, lead capture form within the landing page. So that makes sure that you are maximizing not only their time, but your time. So I'm gonna stop talking and see if there's any comments or questions about that, and then I'm gonna move forward. Any comments, questions? Okay, so that's a best practice. Last but not least, until we get into the practical application. So this is exactly what they did in terms of how they framed, if you will, their Facebook campaign ad. So number one, they kept it. Yes.
Sorry, I was just going to chime in. One of the bonuses of the landing page too is if you're doing post-closing, when your listing is where the status changes, the landing page allows you to continue to promote the property because it's a separate landing page. So there's the benefit. Yeah, there's the benefit for that because the status changed in the MLS, so it's no longer available, or it's no longer on your website. But with the separate landing page, it allows us to continue to link or show the property. Awesome.
Awesome. Thank you. So 5 things that they did. They kept it short. They utilized emojis. I'm a huge emoji fan. Emojis help your algorithm In terms of every post that you make, it increases people in terms of your visibility. The second thing is they included a call to action within their headline. Why do you think that's important?
People have short attention spans.
Exactly. And I've seen a lot of agents that they will use the headline about describing the property. You're missing a key fundamental, short, simple. It's a game changer as far as I'm concerned. But instead of advertising or using descriptive or visual words to advertise the listing, you flip it. Have a call to action in that headline, as opposed to, let me describe how pretty this is, or let me describe this amazing land. No, do a call to action on it. So 4, they had interest and utilized or and not and. The one thing that I'll say, and if you have been listening to Marty Miller, and there is a camp of people that are getting away from interest within Facebook because of the partnership and or algorithm that we have with Facebook. And so I'm an advocate for continuing to do the interest, because the interest is going to pay off in terms of, Zillow, first time home buyer, all of those things. There is a camp that's growing in KWRI that's trying to get away from interest, but this particular group kept the interest going. So I say making sure you do that, making sure that you utilize or and not and your when you're adding your interests. And then the 5th thing that they did is, I thought this was genius. Instead of targeting the location, the specific location for the listing, they went outside of the target area. So if your target area for Maui, let's say the listing is in Kahului, they actually did their target area in Kihei, Lahaina, all of the surface areas or surrounding areas, and not that target area only. Why do you think they did that?
You get a wider audience, and a lot of times people can't necessarily afford to be where they want to be, so they want to be where they can, as close as they can afford to be to that location.
Exactly. And one of the things that I will say this, and then we'll jump into the practical application. One of the things that NAR just came out with, and I want to say it was either yesterday or today on their Instagram, is they put out the hot target areas for COVID-19. So if you're not following NAR, go look at NAR. They did a map, if you will, of the United States, and they highlighted each region that was a hot marketing or housing real estate market. And so what I would encourage you to do is start utilizing those. And I can tell you right now what they are. So if you want to write them down, I actually took a screenshot of it. So give me a minute. Sorry, you probably hear my ring door going off for home. So Spokane Valley, Washington was a hot area for real estate. Another one was Boise City, Idaho, another hot market. Utah, let's see, Phoenix, Mesa Chandler, Arizona was another one. Des Moines, Iowa was another hot spot. Madison, Wisconsin was a hot spot. Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas, Arlington area, Texas. Indianapolis, specifically Carmel and Anderson, Indiana. Charleston, North Carolina, South Carolina. And then Atlanta in the Sandy Springs, Alpharetta, Georgia. So if I were you, I would be tagging those areas whenever you're doing a campaign, because those are hot markets. You also can tap into people that are looking to go elsewhere. So I would definitely add those into your search or your tag. So any comments or questions about that?
Latasha, do you know when they're going to allow us to target multiple cities. Because I love everything about Command Facebook. The only thing that it neglects you on versus running it straight through your business page is on your business page, you can do multiple cities plus 50 miles. On Command, it only allows you one. So I have to do an ad for LA. I have to do an ad for San Diego.
Right.
I have to do an ad for, so do you know when they're going to allow us? I just don't understand why they wouldn't open it to have multiple.
So I don't have an ETA on that, but I know it's coming soon. I'm
good.
hoping that because we have rolled out functionality, or KWRI has rolled out functionality on the teams, and they're starting to release a lot of things now because of that. I'm hoping the first of the year, because we're doing a lot of new things, or KWRI is, in terms of rolling out some new things. So I'm hoping, to your point, I'm hoping that that comes soon. And that's, again, since I have a separate business outside of KW, that's what I utilize, to your point, because I can go in on Facebook on my business page outside of Command and have those multiple cities, states, or locations. And so that is a game changer, and I understand that. I'm hoping maybe January, February, but don't quote me on that, but I'm hoping that's coming soon.
Okay, so they are addressing it.
Yes, yes.
Awesome. Okay, and okay. Thank you.
Absolutely. So I'm going to stop share, and then I'm going to reshare so I can get my command up. So is this beneficial? Are you guys getting something out of this? Hopefully I'm not wasting your time. Awesome. So can you see my command? Okay. So I'm going to get out of designs, hopefully. Okay, so now I'm at my home screen, and I want to get into campaigns. And shortcut for those people, if you ever you don't know everything in terms of the drop downs and what they are, campaigns is always the bullhorn. And my internet, I'm in the Kihei office today, so it's a little, I think it needs coffee or something. So within Command, within campaigns, you have your paid ads, you have your dashboard, your emails, direct mail, social posts. And so you would want to go into create a new campaign. You can do a social post, you can do a social ad. We're just going to do paid ad. So here, the one thing that I'll say, you can definitely, here's the thing. You can be strategic about what your goal is, but keep in mind that you don't necessarily have to give this a lot of credence. I know some people are really caught up in it and they try to spend a lot of time in terms of advertising or track listing. So you can definitely have those categories, but at the end of the day, it's about the algorithm. It's not necessarily about this category. So it's more so getting that paid ad out and utilizing the algorithm that we purchased with our partnership. So again, the first thing you would do is you would enter your campaign. I'm always going to tell you, I believe Robert would also do the same in terms of whatever the address is. So I'm just going to say 123 test for now. So whatever, let me back up. So if you're doing a listing, making sure that you refer back to that listing address so that you can refer back to it. I'm just going to click on advertise listing. And then you also can say, where do you want to run it? I'm just going to say Facebook, and then you want to hit set up. So then here it's going to take you to actually the property listing, but I'm just going to X out of that for now. So a couple of things that I want to review. You want to make sure that you definitely add your listing. The text is here in terms of what your text is. It's going to give you the guidelines in terms of keeping it short, keep your text short to the point. My strategy and the strategy that I saw within that mega group was they had like a 3-point bullet system. They had kind of the main point that they wanted to say. They had either a reference, they had the main point, number one. The second thing they had is they had a reference point, whether that's a link or, you know, whatever it is to reference back what they're trying to do. So they had, you know, their main goal, bullet point number one, bullet point number two, they had a reference back to whatever that they were referring to. And then number three, they had their call to action. So again, bullet point number one was whatever you're focusing on. If you're advertising the listing, then say something about the listing, whatever, you know, the main point about that listing. Then if there is a landing page that you're going to have, they had another link there. So whatever resource you're attaching to that listing. And then the other one was a call to action. So those are the three things that they had. And they had short, concise sentences with emojis. So keep it short. And I'll just put test here. Test. So then their headline, they reiterated that headline. They may have had a tweak. For this particular thing, they did a play on stop, drop, and roll. So let me say one thing. So one of the things that I did, they also, let me take a step back. So a concrete example is this. I just did a post on my business where I focused on a contest. The contest had the headline, like, tag, follow. That's the call to action that I wanted. So for them, they did their stop, drop, and roll, but they just tweaked it. So they only had 3 words in there. That 3 words was a specific call to action and what they wanted the potential lead or the lead to do. So think about it like this. What is it that I want you to do? And have a 3-word, you can do two words, or you can do 1 word, whatever it is. But 3 typically is the sweet spot in terms of a headline and call to action. So I'm going to stop talking about that specifically. Any comments or questions about that?
No, just Latasha, on the main text, I know they limit us to 250. Is that because that's what the Facebook people in our Texas branch is saying is going to hit their algorithm? Because I know, again, going back to your business Facebook page, you can go down multiple times. 250 kind of makes it a little bit tight for a property description. Mm-hmm. Is that a better algorithm fit? Keeping it.
That's exactly what it is. So it's based on the algorithm. So the algorithm that a part of the partnership that KWRI had with Facebook was dialing in on what was going to maximize this partnership. And they felt like from a data-driven perspective, the 255 or 250 was the maximum in terms of characters, or in this case, they are even recommending, 250. They recommend if you can get it down to 125, but that is the sweet spot from a data-driven perspective in terms of what they are seeing that algorithm benefits, and it benefits you if you can keep it under 250 for sure. Does that answer your question? You there?
Oh, yep. Sorry, I was muted.
Okay. Okay. Awesome.
Yes, it does.
And then again, the cutoff would be 100, but typically they recommend the headline over 40 characters may be cut off. And so you just want to make sure that you're trying to keep it in that sweet spot of 40. But this all goes back to the number one reason, or the number one thing to keep in mind when you're advertising is people have a short attention span. And so the more that you can be concise to the point in your main copy or in your main text, your headline, the better off that you're going to be. And so what they did for this group is when they got to description, to your point, they went in and added the key elements in terms of their main copy. And then their description, they added those key things additionally that they couldn't add in their main copy. So that's how they got around it. They maximized that description, and they made sure that anything that they didn't fail to mention, they kind of use this as I use the analogy because I'm always on Instagram. I use this analogy in terms of when you post on Instagram, my post is kind of like my TV show or my storytelling. So when I'm posting my story, I'm doing it posting. But when I want to advertise the posting, then I use my stories. Does that make sense for those Instagram people? So that's what they did. They utilized their description, if you will, as their advertising bit. And then they use this as the content, the meat. So they put the meat and potatoes here, or if you're a vegetarian or a plant-based person, their plant-based food in the main copy. And then their description, they use their dessert. Comments or questions? So then when they got down to ad media, they did a couple of things. They did two specific things. Their first campaign, they did it with just no additional media. And then they did another campaign with their video. Video, as you know, is king or queen. So making sure that you have video, I would tend to encourage you to do a video always. Keep it in, definitely under 30 seconds if you can. But, if the more opportunities you have to integrate video, I would definitely do that. And so they did that. They did it about 50% of the time. They didn't do it consistently. And then the other thing was in terms of the Facebook ad. So a couple of things here. Again, making sure you've got that call to action that's strong. And then here specifically, they talked about, or the ad targeting. Again, they went outside of the area. So if the listing is in one town, they did it in another town to maximize their radius. The budget is pretty much, that's standard in terms of what you want to do. That's up to you in terms of how many days you want to run it. They, on average, always ran their campaigns for 30 days. Why do you think that is? They didn't do anything shorter than 30 days.
Consistency.
Consistency.
Retargeting.
Consistency. And, in terms of, when you're building a habit, it takes you 30 days to get something ingrained where you kind of just that muscle memory, if you will. And so they did not run a campaign that was less than 30 days. They always did 30 days. And so they were very consistent about that. So making sure, and because of the partnership, you can utilize that 30 days, for $30 or whatever it is you want to do. But they did all of their campaigns for 30 days. And then onto the right, or the right side of it, then you have the carousel that kind of shows you what you can do. Any other questions or comments about, I think I covered everything that they did in terms of also the landing pages that they put here. Any comments or questions about the practicality of what they did?
I don't know if you're going to get into it next, but in terms of the response, do you have examples or what smart plans they use in terms of the follow-up? Because I think we're all doing a good job getting the leads in. Just from the response that I'm hearing from agents here too, is getting them to respond to the smart plan. Like, what smart plans have actually worked to get a response back from them?
So two things that they did, they actually, all of them, and I will have to see if I can email them to get a copy of it, but they did custom smart plans. So they each, what they did is this, they did the landing page. And then after the landing page, they had a smart plan, and their smart plans were specific. And I'll see if I can get a template of that, but their smart plans were specifically tied or linked to that listing. So they did all custom smart plans. Some of the smart plans, there's some that are good in the system, or excuse me, that are in KWRI, but they did a specific custom smart plan. And I'll see if I can reach out to them and get that, but they did a custom one. And then once you create that custom smart plan, then they just use that as a template. And I'll see if I can get that, but then I'm going to also see if I can do a search and see if they saved it, meaning, let me back up, to see if they promoted it, meaning you can go in, if you find a smart plan that's working, you can actually submit that smart plan and have other people look at it. So I'm going to follow up with them on that. But they did a custom smart plan. Anything else that, going back to smart plans, that I need to follow up on?
I think that's good. We did a customized one too, based on the listing, but it'd be interesting to see what their verbiage was too, and specifically like what the email header is, because I know that
Okay.
that's, that affects your open rate, how you portray the email,
Okay.
and then just their specific verbiage. Yeah, if they're willing to share the content, would be awesome. Thank you, Latasha.
Okay. I know they didn't share it on there, but I think what I may do is see if they can give like any guidance on that. I know they didn't share, they did, and then I will actually also send you the video too. I'll send you the video.
Thank you.
Yep. Any other comments or questions about smart plans? Anything that I didn't cover, because I want to make sure that I maximize your time, but anything, any precursor questions, anything that I didn't follow up on that I did not address?
I love the content, Latasha. So thank you so much for sharing. And I also know that, so Brandon just onboarded on Tuesday.
Okay.
Brenda just onboarded, which means he still has a couple of things to go through. Brendan, one of which I'd highly encourage a one-on-one time with Latasha, so that you can go over a lot of the tools and basic stuff with Latasha, because there is absolutely so much, and she's such a wealth of knowledge. So we try to hone in on a lot of the topics that she has. But yeah, I think it was helpful. And I know one of the reasons, I'm not, it's because I'm jotting down some of the notes. So yeah, I think it was huge. And I think as long as we get into some of these practices as habits, I think it's going to be all about consistency in the end, for sure.
So I will definitely see if I can reach out and get that custom smart plan. But in the meantime, I'll also probably by tomorrow, I'll get you the video so you can also take a look at it as well.
Awesome.
Anything else? Any other comments or questions?
Too much info today. We're going to be calling you like in a week, follow with questions. I'm like,
yeah.
Rochelle's going to wish I didn't sit in on this one, because I'm like, we got work to do tonight.
I was just thinking that when you asked your question, and with Latasha's response, I was like, I've got a block time with Kelly for Facebook now.
Yeah, Rochelle and I have been going back and forth on the pros and cons of pushing everything through Homes and Chocolate versus do we have our own realtor page that then feeds to it? Right. Not that I want more work, I just want more results. So if it means more work, I'm totally down with that. But like Rochelle said, she's not going to be able to escape now. So.
And I do want to say this really quickly. If you are not going back to that, what do I need to start doing? What I need to start doing? What do I need to continue doing? The one thing I'll say is content is king or queen. And I said that at the onset. Please, please, please. I know it's a lot of work. On command, you can schedule your post, or you can hire someone to help you. But the key thing is content. And I'll leave you with this. For example, for me, I started, you start where you start. I always say that, but you start where you start. I started, when I first got into social media, I started doing posts consistently once a week. Then from once a week, I went to 3 days. Now I'm at 6 days a week. And now I'm starting to do at least 2 posts a day. How do I have time for that? I am very strategic about making sure that I have a plan in place. So I have a plan for the end of the year already. and I have themes. The other thing that I would encourage you to think about is in your in your social media marketing strategy, focus on themes that will help you with your content. What I mean by that is look at NAR, look at whatever your local real estate boards are advertising. For example, I'm getting ready to do a post on 2021 kitchen trends from a staging perspective. And so you can take that topic and have a theme for a whole, you can have content for a whole week around that one topic. So think about that when you're, I know it's overwhelming at a lot of times, but break it down into themes so that you can then take that theme and elongate your post. And then what you're doing is you're, number one, being top of mind to people. And number two, you are continuing to have content out there from an algorithm standpoint that's boosting your SEO so people can see you. And that way you'll become top of mind. I just had, as a personal testimony, because of the 6-day posting, I'm starting to get more leads and more people contacting me saying, oh, so-and-so need this staging. Guess who I thought of? Your marketing is working. And so making sure that you have that content so people, as soon as they know somebody's selling a home or wanting to buy a home, oh, Rochelle, oh, Brandon, Aisha, you are top of mind to that person. And I cannot stress that. Since I've been doing that, my engagement level and my workload has increased 30 to 40%. And I get at least 2 to 3 new followers every day. So it's working. So I encourage you, content is king or queen. Get after it. Thank you.
Awesome.
Latasha, one thing on that is you guys shouldn't feel overwhelmed if when she's talking about posting 1 to 2 times a day, if you take an hour on Monday, because you can schedule everything out for the week. So take an hour that you commit to social media, create all of your posts at one time, schedule them out, and then you don't have to worry about it for the rest of the week. But just make sure when you're scheduling it to check your insights and see when your audience, because your audience is going to be different from Latasha's, is going to be different from Brendan's. So check your insights. And when you're getting ready to schedule a post, scroll over Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and see what the peak times of the day is that your audience is on Facebook, and then schedule your post appropriately during that time.
I did a tweak on my schedule, and I actually, while I was watching football this past Sunday, I was also watching football and making some tweaks to my posts, and I was done. I added a couple of extra tags and different things to my posts that were going out this week. So Sunday football, I just spent an hour, tweaked a couple of things, and then I was done for the week.
Love it.
All righty. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Latasha.
You're welcome. So I'm
Thank you
going to
so
stop
much.
recording and then